To be honest, I don't know. I think I mistakenly closed the app or something on my phone. So apologies, everyone. But yeah, I guess we'll just carry on from where we were originally. Let's just wait for the rest of the people who were here originally to come back, and then we'll just carry on. Anyways, do you want to just carry on, and then let's just carry on from where we were. No, bang. Sorry about that.
Okay, yeah, I was saying that so you manage people differently, right? So I mean, I think that Botas is one of those people. Can you hear me?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so I think that Botas is one of those people who thrives, on a reward system, right? So, um, and the reward being his contract, based off his performance, then they renew his contract. And I think that Toto may have known that, hence, you know, doing what he did, with regards to Botas' contract. Now, look, I mean, he has a 3 years contract, and see what he's doing, right? So I, I mean, I'm I don't want to say disappointed because but this has been consistent from when he was about leaving Mercedes up until now, where there's no consistency with Bottas. It's the thing I've been saying like throughout. He's just not consistent. He performs this week, the next week he doesn't. You can't just rely on him. I think that's what the issue has been. So I think that the system that Mercedes had for Bottas really worked. Because now that he's relaxed, he's not performing. And it's unfortunate because what his contract comes to an end next year. I don't think that any team, Bottas being a champ, no, it's not even a championship winning material. Bottas being a good driver or not, I don't think that and no, but it's true, it's not a championship winning material. But I don't think that any team in their right senses. I mean, let's see what he does for the next 23 for the next 20 races. But I don't think that any team, maybe not in their right senses, that's too harsh. But saying anything that wants to win races, should put Bottas in their car if he doesn't improve, in the next 20 races. Because Joe is out qualifying him and outperforming him on the team. And I feel like if the Alfa Romeo was a better car, Joe would be way ahead of Bottas, right? So it's a little sad to see, but yeah, I hope he can pick it up in the next races. But yeah, it is what it is, I guess.
Thank you very much, Enabong. Well, I'll have to agree with you. Because I think sometimes we human beings sometimes is when we I don't. Well, I say Bottas he procrastinates his F1 career in the sense that is when he knows that something is up, he will not start performing, which is when he knows that it's time for new contract, he will not start performing. So at the end of the day, we're all human beings. You understand? Me, I get where Bottas is coming from. He has passed notice period. He can do whatever he likes. That's what he's doing at Alfa Romeo. And Alfa Romeo as a team, the way I see them or the way they are currently being run, I feel they don't care. When I mean they don't care in the sense that Alfa Romeo Sauber per se is leaving Formula One very soon. So what I'm not sure they are keen on emphasizing or enhance or trying to push their personnel anymore to get maybe the best out of them. You understand? Which is just my own personal take at the end of the day. But um I feel ever since the announcement of Audi coming in, it, yeah, Audi was, if I'm not mistaken, Audi was in the middle of last season, you know. But ever since that whole Audi announcement, you can see that Alfa Romeo, they just do like they don't even send anymore. You understand? But yeah. Speaking of Alfa Romeo, I was just going to point out something. Androsidal, Androsidal, Androsidal. Hmm. Hey, me, I'm still saying it though. You see McLaren's problem. Who would you blame? Team principal. That man. you- I keep on saying, what was Andres working on? I keep on saying, like, what was Andres working on last year against 2023? Because because now at the end of the day, Ferrari. I've said it before. Ferrari, they say, oh, it's Binotto's car, and even I believe this morning we said it that Williams is a bit of Capito and Vowels, So, like, Andrew Sider, he has gone to Sauber now. Have not seen his impact as CEO. Is he even in the paddock? I'm not even sure he's even in the paddock safe. I don't know I don't necessarily know what he's doing. They say is helping in the transitioning. Transitioning Nibo. Is he HR? Yeah, I don't understand what I don't know what Andres has been up to, at least in the last 24 months. Because last year's car is your fault and it's your problem. It's your responsibility. 2023 car, when was the guard? Okay, depending on when you put in your notice period. Yeah, depending on when you put in your notice period. So it's more of, at the end of the day, you are still this. You were still responsible for it, because it's not what's the name of this one, Stella. It's not Stella that is responsible. It's you. So what have you been working on? Next year, if Alfa Romero is still Alfa Romero, though they scored 4 points this season, we are still going to come back to say, what is Andrew Seidel doing? Because now the way they structured the team, Saba, they structured the team. I want to even know who is responsible for that structuring. Because which one is team representative? Team representative that, well, okay, so you have CEO and then you have team representative, but no team principal. I'm not understanding. So Andres, I don't. I would honestly like to know what that man has been up to for the past 24 months, because he's one of the F1 employees that I just feel like he's just winging it. He's just winging it. He's just winging it. You will see him with his glasses there. You think he does not have brain. Oh God. Okay. Look, man, please go ahead. Thank you.
Thanks, admin. Good morning, everyone. I just joined now, so I'm not sure what you've talked about. But maybe you can sense from my voice, I'm in a very good mood because I like what Mercedes did today. I think that was a result, but I'm sure you guys have talked about that already. I just wanted to pick up on what somebody was saying about Bottas. I actually don't agree that he needs something to be motivated. I think before he joined Mercedes, when he was coming from Williams, he was well motivated and he was up for the fight. Unfortunately, he came across the master, isn't it? He tried to beat Hamilton and he just couldn't do it. So that is enough to demotivate you, I think. And I think from what you're saying, admin, about what's happening with Alfa Romeo, I think anybody will be demotivated in that sort of situation if there's restructuring going on. And I don't think he can see the future. He can see anything in the future. So I think, yes, he may have lost his motivation in that sense, and there is no competition for him. So he's probably thinking maybe it's time to move on. But I don't. I think he's actually a very good driver. But I think he probably lost his motivation. And when he realized the company, the Alfa Romeo is going to, there is something about the future that is not really working out. So I'm sure it's not just him. I think other employees in there, including Saido, will be probably demotivated if they think you're being. I mean, I've been in a situation where the organization is being restructured, everybody loses their motivation. It does demoralize you. So that's probably what Bottas is going through. Yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Thank you very much. Look, man, can we have an bunk, please?
So my question is, does Bottas look like a demotivated driver, or does he look like a Kimi Raikkonen at the end of his career? Because he strikes me as a Kimi Raikkonen at the end of his career, not a demotivated driver. The Bottas does not look in any way, shape, or form as a demotivated driver. He, if anything, Bottas looks relaxed and comfortable with where he is right now, right? It's giving me Daniel Ricciardo vibes from last year. That's really how I feel about him, no, right now. Like he's
If
not even putting into much. No, so I'm not even comparing Bottas against the entire grid. I'm comparing him with his teammate Joe, right? What his teammate has been doing compared to what he is doing. And he's entering this team on the premise that he is the experienced driver. He is the person who's be able to extract that 0.001 seconds from the car that a rookie would not be able to extract. So I'm not saying that the Alfa Romeo is a Mercedes or is a Red Bull or it's an Alpine, that we're expecting great things from them. I'm just saying that when you put Bottas against his teammate right now, right, he isn't really performing. I mean, I understand the conversation regarding, he couldn't beat a top guy, so he really was demotivated. I mean, Bottas said it himself that he agreed a while ago that Lewis is not his
yeah,
competition, so he
yeah.
relaxed, right? He said that, so he accepted it for what it is. But you're not with the Lewis. If anything, you were put in this team because you had the capacity to lead the team. So I'm not even putting you against Lewis on the grid or against Max Verstappen or Perez. I'm putting you against your rookie teammate I mean, this is second season anyway, but who is new to the team as opposed to you, who is quote unquote, for lack of a better word, team leader. What is your performance compared to that person, irrespective of what the challenges may be, in your team? So but that doesn't look like the motivated person to me. He looks like someone who may be coming to the end of his career and who maybe is okay with that. But that, he's demotivated. He does not look. He
It's-
doesn't strike me as some
you see,
as
that's an interesting point. And I was gonna say, when you ask the question, is he demotivated or coming to the end of the career of his career? In the context of Botas, that's the same thing. He is demotivated and he's probably made a decision that maybe I'm going to move on, because I think there is something this haircut is done. It symbolizes something apparently about what is something else in his life. So I think he's demotivated and he's probably ready to throw in the towel, because he's thinking, where else can I go? There is nowhere else to go. I don't think there's nowhere else for Bottas to go. So I think he's got to that point. So your point about whether he's demotivated or coming to the, I think in his context right now, I think they mean the same thing. I think that's saying the same thing really. But yeah, I think watch this space, I suppose.
Look, man said that his haircut symbolizes something.
Yeah, yeah. They said it. They said it in the program today that he found some peace, and that haircut actually meant something. I can't remember what they said about it, but there was something that he apparently found his peace in something about and that's why I mentioned that. Yeah,
Really?
yeah,
I
yeah,
thought
yeah.
I thought it's when you barb skin cuts that you find peace.
No, 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 because it symbolizes something in his life or whatever he
Hey.
does. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, go,
Interesting.
you're good at doing research. Go and do your
No,
research on
but
it. You
no, but
see.
well. Let me ask you a question. So now, look, man. I'm sure either you are an employer or you are an employee, either of both. But now, let me just give my analogy in the employee side of things.
Yeah.
Now you have a job. Whatever is going on in your personal life, does that concern your employer?
Oh,
Except it's affecting your work performance. You
oh
understand?
yeah.
Except affecting your productivity.
Oh, it's well documented. It's well. I've employed lots of people, and I'm an employee. It's well documented. Sometimes when something is going on in your personal life, it does impact on your work life. Absolutely, especially if you think that you don't want to be in there anymore. This is the wrong place for you to be. It does impact on you. So, oh yeah, that is well documented in lots of working life.
Okay. Okay. But what I feel is that you see for I think maybe I did not put it well, but you see this Bottas, this is newfound adventure. He
Hmm.
first started with coffee, now he's making alcohol. Next, I don't know what he's going to be making next. Maybe now he's going to move into oil and gas
Yeah,
because
but
I
that's
don't know
because
what he's going to.
he's seen beyond F1. That's my point.
Eh,
He's
okay,
seen beyond
so
F1 and he's
so
already
so that
planning his
that
future.
that is what I believe. That's what Enobong is trying to say. That Bottas is not demotivated. Bottas is heading for retirement. Basically, I believe that's the point Enobong.
Yeah, but demotivated in the sense of Formula One. So that
Well, what
demotivation, it
was
could be motivated for other
Bottas
things.
ever motivated? Look, how many races did he win in Mercedes in the best car? How many races did he win? Nine, I be 10 races. He won. He said, "Oh, you think I left? You left where?"
Yeah,
He,
but it was
he,
against Lewis though. It was against Lewis. It's difficult.
uh,
Yeah, it's
is
that
the
is difficult. That.
but Shebi he said he's equal for the tax. He's there to win. He's not there to be. He was not there to be a second fiddle to Lewis. You understand? So
Yeah.
I think in Mercedes, if we're looking at Bottas's career in Mercedes, yeah, well, Bottas' career out of 10 in the Mercedes is a six.
No, but the point is, if you look at
No,
Perez, how
no,
many races has Perez won against Max?
Perez.
But that's the
No.
point though. If you're against somebody that is really good,
Well,
superior to you, it's difficult.
no. Let's not. I think let's no wait. Hold on. Let's bring all the table to the cards first.
Yeah.
In the sense that I cannot remember when Bottas said that, oh, the car is not to his taste or to his this thing. You understand? Bottas has always, if it's not to his taste, or he has been in a very fantastic and suitable machinery that has favored both drivers. Unlike Perez, that we know Perez is what you call Perez has the trace of a downfield driver. But I mean that he can drive anything in the sense that he have driven different cars. So hence why he was able to drive that RB18 as compared to the previous Red Bull models that other drivers have struggled with, because the car is more fine tuned to Max as
Can I ask
opposed
you a
to.
question, admin? If Rosberg didn't win the championship in 2016,
Mm,
if he lost it because he almost lost it, he was lucky to
mm,
win in a sense.
mm.
Would we be saying the same thing about Rosberg?
Well, I won't say. Well, the thing is that he won it, no?
Yes, but but that's my point. That yes, even Bottas went in there to win, but
Eh,
this guy fought and fought and fought, and he couldn't do it. And before you know it, he's been moved out. So
you see now, yeah. You see now, Rosberg, after winning, what did he do?
he retired now.
Eh. So,
Exactly.
so
But do you
that's
know
it.
why he retired? Do you know why he retired? He
He
said
don't
the
like
pressure was too
competition.
much. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So what I'm trying to say is that Bottas himself, he would have tried his own one luck because he had multiple years, 5 years. You understand? Even
Yeah,
as a 2021, if Bottas had been up to par in 2021, I don't want to. Anyway, people know where I'm heading to, but yeah, that's a story for another. That's the discussion for another day. I don't want to get
yeah,
into that. But
yeah,
if
yeah. No,
Bottas
that's
was
okay.
up to par, we will not be some of this conversation. We will not be having it. Everybody has a part to play. You
Yeah.
understand?
Well,
So
I mean, but I think in Bottas' case, I think there was only one shot. Even Rosberg, there was only one shot. If you don't get it in that one shot, there's nowhere else you can do
um,
it. I think that's the situation for
look,
him.
look, man. Life is all about opportunity. Opportunity does not come two times. Sometimes. So if you see the opportunity once, you take it.
Well,
Bottas
take it
did
against
not
who?
take it.
I don't get it. Take it against who?
Take
Against
it
Louis.
again. I was saying
Why
when
do
he
it?
was in Mercedes, that's what I'm referring to. You obviously you are competing. Whether at the end of the day, Lewis is a human being, he's not a god. You understand? So
But
Bottas has
sorry,
won some races.
I'm a bit lost. Are you saying that he didn't try?
It's not, what I'm saying is that Bottas has, you are talking about motivation, Abi, and I'm trying to tell you that Bottas has never been motivated. He was motivated in his William days, not in the Mercedes days. He was motivated in his William days, not in the Mercedes days.
Mm.
That's
I'm not sure. I don't understand that bit. I don't,
okay.
because my man was working his ass off to try and get. He just couldn't get. He just couldn't do it. That's all.
Yeah, he just
So,
couldn't do it because he was not good enough.
well, maybe that's a different matter.
Okay, no problem. Okay. Cause, do you want to say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to
Yeah.
say, Bottas is simply not that guy. That's just the truth about it. So all these opportunities, this one, when as you said, when he was winning the races, or when he wasn't winning the races, who was the person winning? Vettel. Vettel was the person that was that was taking the opportunities that presented himself. So that got presented. So if he as a person or claims he's the next whatsoever he claims he is wasn't taking his opportunities in the best
Mm.
dominant era of a Mercedes, then what should we? He was simply not that guy. Toto Wolff didn't just want a situation about didn't just want a repeat of Hamilton and Rosberg, and that is why he just got someone who was simply good enough to score points here and there to be able to augment the Mercedes Championship title run, and they get the constructors title. But to say Bottas was he was never that guy, and he's just in his Kimi era, just lounging till whenever he's going to throw in the towel or decide to go bike sailing or whatsoever with his fiancée or his wife. That's just the situation. Was never that guy, and
I yeah. I mean, I understand the point about somebody not being that guy. There are lots of F1 drivers in there that are not that guy. Yeah, there are only few drivers that are that guy. So I take the point. It might not be, but that doesn't mean he wasn't
he
motivated to try and
wasn't. No,
to to.
that's the point we're trying to tell you. He wasn't motivated because
Uh,
he did. When were the when what can to be honest? Can you remind me of a standout performance from Bottas? Honestly, that is not that. Oh, there was a car. Here.
Russia,
Which Russia that he held
Russia,
Vettel back?
Russia. He won. He had to move aside for Lewis, isn't it? That one, and then there was another one. He's done very well.
He
He even beat
hasn't. That's
Lewis in some in
he
both
hasn't
polls.
done very well. The truth. That's the truth about it. The
Look,
What?
man.
No, no. But the point is, you can only compare to somebody like Rosberg. Rosberg was well above him. I agree.
Look, man.
Rosberg in 2015 even tried to put up a fight with Lewis, and he had there were reliability issues here. Then the double point finish towards the end of
Yeah,
at the last
yeah,
race
yeah.
and that kind of a thing. So you could see that we can count notable performances from Rosberg here and there, but where's the notable performance from Bottas? Is it the one of for what's that rubbish quote he said at the end of Australia 20 was it 2017 or 2019?
I never left.
Uh,
Is that what Ricardo
no,
said?
he
What
said
you know it now?
something along the lines of to those who
So,
concerned, yeah, to something along those lines. So he was,
Mm.
to be honest, if you're talking about people, so he has never been motivated. He's just someone who just lounges, and
Mm.
right now, I even agree with Enoch
I,
saying the whole
I struggle when somebody says a F1 driver is not motivated. They're
look, man.
always motivated. It's
Well,
just that it depends on what their goals are and what they think they can achieve within the context of the team they're in and the person they're competing with. I mean, for me, that's why I
look,
went back to Perez.
look,
Perez can
man.
be motivated. It's going to
look,
be
man.
difficult for him
Please,
to
as an
beat.
F1
Man.
driver, what is your
Look,
goal?
man.
I don't like what is your goal? Is it
Please,
not to win races?
Yeah, but
please, wait
who
one
do you
second.
say? Who do you think can win the world
I want to
championship?
wait. I want to say something here.
Yeah,
We forget Sake. Is it Sake 2020
Yes.
when Lewis had COVID? When they put that was the ultimate test
yes,
for
yeah.
voters. They put
Very
two
well
of
done.
you in that. George Russell would have won that race if not for the pit mess up that they mix up the old tire. See, he overtook him on track
Mm.
fairly in the same car. So I personally, I'm telling you that race.
Even if it's not even Russell. I mean, let's take a look at last season, right? Magnussen. came into the Haas, and look at what he did, Magnussen and
Yeah.
Mick Schumacher. That is what you expect from an experienced driver and a rookie in a car that is not so good. If Bottas did similar to what Magnussen did to Mick, maybe we will not be having this conversation. But the guy is
Mm.
not even trying. As every time I see him, he just reminds me of Kimi Raikkonen. Like, at the end of his career, that's all I think
Yeah.
of.
Yeah, I think him moving to Alfa Romeo, well, that's a different story for both, as far as I'm concerned. But I think when he was at Mercedes, I thought it was good enough, to be honest, but not good
Lookman,
enough to
how
be
many
clearly not to
races?
be world
Lookman,
champion.
how many races did Bottas win in the most dominant era of that Formula One has ever seen? Let's start from
I
there.
think 10. It's not 10.
In how many years? In about 6 years, or how many years did he spend
Yeah.
in Mercedes? So let's put it at 19.
I mean, to be honest with you, I don't think I'm arguing that it's competition for Lewis. He was in competition for Lewis. Let's just put it that way. So it's difficult to judge
So
him on how
if
many
he
races
wasn't
has he won.
competition, if it wasn't competition for Louis,
For
if he
Lewis,
couldn't,
yeah.
if he couldn't perform in the most dominant eras a team has ever seen, then what exactly is his motivation? Why exactly is he a Formula One driver? Is it when he gets to a Williams that he's going to be motivated?
Well, no, I don't. I still don't get that argument. But obviously, I'm not going to say that there are many drivers in there. I know they're not. They're not. Most of them are not going to win the world championship. They might have this good. They're not going to win.
No,
So let's be
wait,
realistic.
let me clarify something. I don't think we're not comparing Bottas with Lewis. Also, I think what we're discussing is basically his performance and
Mm,
how he has dipped ever since going to Alfa Romeo and putting. I think I was the one that started the conversation that he tends to put the off track activities
mm,
more, which is the freedom Alfa Romero has given Sauber has given him, and
mm,
I blamed Sauber for probably the transitioning to
mm,
Audi and not um wanting or rather putting the pressure on these people because probably if you look at how many I'm not sure in the past you've not had Sauber drivers that are necessarily as free as the way Bottas and Guan Yu have been. So it's more of and not bunking with the aspect of okay, he's driving towards retirement and not because he's
mm.
well I say not because he lacks motivation basically. So
I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
also think about what he said. I mean, I was listening to his team radio after he didn't make. I think he was cut. He was taken off. Was in Q1, and then he goes, guys, that was the best on my end. That I'm like, are you
yeah,
kidding me? Like, not even. Oh, no sign of frustration, nothing. Just like that was the best on your end. Like P19 is the
yeah.
best on.
Yeah, I think right now I agree with the idea that maybe at the moment he's definitely not motivated. I see that. But I mean, I was just saying it in terms of his past performances. But I get the point that right now, yeah, it doesn't look like he's nowhere, to be honest.
please let me even ask a quick question. Which other team that I know we look at the top four teams now. At least every team you are likely to say, okay, it, each or any of those top four teams are likely to pick another driver not in their team from another top four team. If you go back to when Bottas was in Mercedes, which team will you say, okay, they are going to comfortably pick Bottas and trust in? I don't see any team, not Red Bull,
No.
no Ferrari. I'm not sure you understand what Xavier is saying. Well,
Well,
Aston Martin.
I mean, you can't do that kind of analysis because
Uh,
Red Bull they have a program. They have a kind of person they go for.
Look man, this program
Ferrari are
was
never gonna
Perez
go
in
for somebody.
program.
Mm,
Perez was not in program now, Abby. Perez came from Juarez. He was not in program. He was
yeah,
Because
that was by popular demand for Perez. They
uh,
know they couldn't go for anywhere. That was by
but
popular. Perez was
if we're
performing.
being honest, who would they have gone for at that time? If we're being honest, in talent wise and experience, who would they have gone for?
Yeah, not Butters. I know.
Yeah, you will not necessarily put your hope in Bottas because
No,
Bottas
no.
could not necessarily challenge Hamilton. Like you could say, okay, okay, Daniel Ricciardo was even in McLaren. Alpine, Alpine had what would the Alpine have? Ocon and what's his name? Alonso. Who was maybe
But you see, with these things, you can never tell. Look at when Ricardo left Red Bull. The person that got in, they thought they were getting the real deal, and we all thought they're getting the real deal. And look what happened
I,
to him.
he,
Yeah,
I
any
think
team that went for Ricardo then, they thought they were getting the real deal. There was no question that this guy is a world championship winner. So
I,
why and see what how that
I,
ended up.
I will not. I know for Red Bull, I will not agree with that. Why would I not agree with that point? Because Red Bull, they have this strategy of trial and error. If it works, let's go. Once it starts failing, get out. So I
No,
don't
no, no,
think.
but that wasn't my point. My point was you said
No,
which
we're
team.
talking about Gasly, Abby.
No, no, no. I'm talking about Ricciardo now. When
Yeah,
he
yeah.
left Red Bull
When he
and he
left,
went.
Gasly came in.
No, no, no. He went to Renault. I'm talking about in the past when Ricardo left. Anybody that was getting Ricardo was thinking we're getting not a fantastic driver. This guy can win world championship. And he's done two teams. He didn't perform at all. And you wouldn't say that about Ricardo. So that's my point, and that's my point that you can't put them in that. It's difficult to put them in that context until you actually see them perform in a different team. So
Great.
that's
Um,
the challenge you have with
Okay,
these guys.
okay. Let's give the room. Okay, Regis, for just 1 second. But
No, I agree with what you guys are saying. Towards the end of Potter, sorry, I'm not arguing against it. I'm just sort of putting it in context. That's all.
yeah, no, well, Regis, please go ahead. Then we'll have a cycle. Psych.
sorry, I was going to just listen, but when Bottas came up, I have a soft spot for the guy. Um, I think in years to come, he'll sit when he sits down, he realized that could he have done better in 8 years when a team where he was as well, his team was dominant as like whatever. He'll sit down and realize, I don't think I did enough. That's what I feel, but I put myself in his shoes. Imagine turning up every day to a place where you've when I was let me use my like say you say imagine you're in a class in SS3 now. There's this guy that reads only 2 hours, and this guy will come and smash all of us.
Exactly.
I have to read 8 hours before I go fit. If the guy scores 80, if he scores 80, you score 77. You be reading 8 hours every day, reading 8 hours, and you say, brother, this guy sometimes he will not even read. He will still come and smash. Will you at some point won't you tell yourself, Omo, I know they read anything. Let me go there. I will not read 8 hours today. And the day you manage to read 8 hours, it's not as if you will come first. You will come close, but you need that thing that you read the night previous to come out as in word for word. Meanwhile, that person that read only 2 hours, anywhere the questions come from, they will answer it. You just tell yourself, there's no need. That's where I feel like I put myself in. I'll be like, oh my, this guy is good. Make I calm down. They take my own. So I don't blame him. I don't. But as of today in Alfa Romeo, the thing that's happening to Bottas is something Enobong mentioned. Enobong, imagine you still calling Joe a rookie. I think Bottas is still carrying it in his head that Joe Guan Yu is still a rookie. He is no longer a rookie. And many of us are still seeing him like that. So Joe now, he knows this is his second year. When Bottas came into the system, Bottas did his own thing and got into Mercedes. Joe knows, Omo, this is my own time. Oh, I have to do my own thing. I know one day I don't have to be in Alfa Romeo forever. So this is the time he now has to start smashing Bottas. And I feel like Bottas has his head now in his gin, in his coffee, and all them crazy things he wants to do. And Omo,
I don't blame him for his Mercedes days. I beg. See what I think somebody said. See what happened to Rosberg. As good as Rosberg was, he said he needed a psychologist to sort him out. Brother, he's mad. Allah. So my view is the guy. Is he not that guy? I won't say he's not that guy because out of the 5 years, I think in 5 years he came second 3 times out of five. So let's cut him some slack. It could have been worse. But coming up against a guy that you know that you've done tooth and nail, but this guy will just show up, run you streets. At some point, you'll be like, bro, I give up. Will he sit back in years to come and say, that 8 hours, what if I had started reading 12 hours? Would I have measured up? He will be asking himself those questions. But right now, at Alfa Romeo, they have a stupid car. He's the only one that scored points, so we cannot join. He's the one that's giving points to the team, so he's still comfortable. When Joe is now scoring points regularly and he's fighting, or he can't even, then we'll now say, "Bottas, Baba, it is time to go." But let's cut the guy some slack, I beg. He is that guy, but he's not really that guy. That's my own. That's my take.
How can you say
Then
he's
yeah,
that guy but
last
he's not
We've
thing
been
really
I
that
cutting
feel
Bottas
guy?
some slack since his last years in Mercedes.
Danny
I beg.
Ricciardo did well at Renault, please. Danny Ricciardo did well at Renault. Thank
Daniel Ricciardo was late delivery at Renault. My post.
But so can I just say, I know you said Daniel Ricciardo did well at Renault, but when you say did well, we're talking about Daniel Ricciardo. They were expecting bigger things from him. Doing well is not even good. It's not even part of it. They were expecting more, even though they didn't have the best car. But he still didn't do that well.
you.
For the
Let
guy
him
that you
blame
know.
they didn't have the car. Baba, he will not kill himself. They did it. They did themselves. They did
But
themselves a service.
also, how can you be expecting more than a driver's capacity? Like, I actually see. I mean, not to start a whole argument here, but Daniel Ricciardo is a midfield driver, so I don't know what the expectation was from Daniel Ricciardo. You can't be expecting more than the driver's capacity. So you have hired who Nick DeVries to AlphaTauri. You're expecting that he'll be finishing top five. Like, do you understand? You like that's kind of what it was to me. Like, you can't be expecting things that he has not shown you that he can do. He can
No,
do.
no, no, no.
I mean,
When he was at Red Bull, Daniel Ricciardo was a top driver. He's not a
he's
midfield.
still a.
No way.
I
No
don't.
way.
Daniel Ricardo, if you ask me, is not a championship material. That's what I'm
No, no,
telling you.
no.
That's
But
what
you
I'm
say
saying.
that
I'm
now.
saying
You
my full
say,
chest. Ask
But
me
look,
anywhere.
but
Daniel is not a
Lukman,
championship. Drive.
no,
Lukman,
see,
Lukman, statistically, Bottas is a better driver than Daniel
no,
Ricciardo.
no, no. You see, this is what happens when people make judgments. After a while, obviously, you have to judge people on their records. But when he was um at Red
Red
Bull,
Bull.
even he gave Vettel so much problem. Vettel had to leave Red Bull because he saw this new person coming in and beating him most times. So Ricardo was touted. I know these people say a lot. He was touted as the one of the top drivers in Formula One before
Okay, so
before
with all
everything
the
went
problems
wrong.
that he gave
Yeah.
Vettel, right? With all the problems that he gave Vettel, how many races did he win? How many championships does he have? I mean, I understand that championships are a different conversation altogether. But with all the problems that Ricardo has given everybody, he has given Vettel, he has given. He's not that, like, he's not that guy, to be honest. Like, Daniel is a good
Danny Rick
driver,
is the
yes.
person you tell me is not that guy, and I'll tell you, Omo, Danny Rick is not that guy.
Daniel Rick can be top five, top six finishes, right? He
Baba
can
is
give you top
not
seven
that guy.
consistent finishes. But say that Daniel Rick is the kind of person that you would expect to win you a championship or to be finishing top three every race. He's just not that guy for me. That's all I'm
Can I
saying.
say
And what
something?
I
I
call
think
midfield drivers are drivers that finish between the first 10.
I think if he was in the right team, he would be that guy. I actually believe he will be
So
that
you
guy.
mean that if you
Oh,
put Daniel Ricciardo in a Red Bull now, he can win a championship? Or no?
yes, he can, but I don't
Ah,
know whether yeah
ah.
whether he can. He can.
Lookman. Hello, please
Yeah.
calm down, calm down. Lookman, calm down. Let me just tell you,
There's a reason why he's reserve driver.
Lookman. Let me just tell you one very
God
simple.
bless
Let me
you.
just tell you a very simple thing. And the truth about it is, and that's what people fail to take into cognizance when they're talking about Danny Rick, his rise, and that kind of a thing. Vettel had it.
Well, if there's silence, let me also put in there that for Valtteri Bottas, if we decide to move forward, I don't think he's going to have a contract by 2025. I want to say 2024, but I want to give him that grace period because Alfa Romeo might keep him there for a while. But unless he's bringing some serious sponsorship, but even Nicolas Latifi with all his money was sacked from Williams, so I don't think you will see Bottas in 25.
Did you see how they need his money? Do you know how much do you want to bring that Audi does not have? Like, how much do you want to give Audi? Which sponsor? Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, Bottas does not know what he does not know. He does not know what he's doing. Let him be here now. Anyway, I see he's just planning for retirement. This is what some of all these footballers do.
But why are you guys talking like this? The
Very
first
soon.
phase of the season, Bottas gave us a classic. Why? What's
Which
going on?
classic? Which classic? Did he carry podium? Did he drink
Baba came, he
champagne?
came ninth in that scrap of a car he's driving.
Night.
He tried now.
Okay, no problem.
Ah,
He tried.
is it ninth or eighth? Self Gasly was ninth. He came eighth. I beg.
Leclerc DNF. That would have made you a P what 10.
But also the Alfa Romeo was a better car in Bahrain, right? Than what it's been so far. So that's a different conversation altogether.
He'll probably still surprise us this season. Don't worry.
Go, I pray so.
Let's pray for grace. Anyways, quickly let's move on to what do you call them? Haas. Just Haas. Well, I don't know. I can't. I know Magnussen is the only driver that has scored points for the team this season. But in terms of qualifying performance, I don't understand because if you get this track, overtaking is not necessarily easy per se. So it should be interesting to see where he finishes. But one thing about Magnussen is that Magnussen tends to have very good race start. So and he can also be very aggressive as well. So he might make up some places. Well, as for Nico, on the other hand, very good in qualifying, but at the same time, when it comes to race, he's not always there. So it's a bit tricky. Yesterday, Gunther Steiner was saying there's a possible chance for Ricardo in 2024. You see, Gunther, I don't know what's wrong with that man. I've always felt that Gunther, the way Mick left, the way Mazepin left, the way Mick left, Gunther should have just gone. You understand? Let the MoneyGram has F1 team be fresh. Because I don't that man as Christian Horner said, he does not have any form of technical leadership. That's why they kicked him out of Red Bull that time. He does not have it, and it's obvious. Look at every time he's talking in the rubbish. Like what? Like
Emotional talking.
yeah, exactly. You are looking for where to blame. You are looking for where to attribute blame. Now you are saying, oh, you want to get Daniel. There's possibility you can get Daniel Ricciardo for 2024 in race 3. If I don't even, it's Gene self I blame because Gene self, I don't know the father as a business owner, he cannot see that this man has been in management from time. His management is not having head. Let's change. Let's do some change. I don't know. I don't know what you call it, what Gunther is telling Gene on the phone, because I don't know what he's seeing Gene in Gunther basically. But yeah. So anyway, let's see what happens tomorrow with Haas. Haas they've been in terms of reliability, they've been there. Their package has not just been solid. And then well, I say they've made a bit of progress, but still, with all the money coming and everything, the progress should have been much more because I don't know because see their wind tunnel time. What are they doing with it? But I guess that's it. We'll see where they end up tomorrow morning. You know, personally, I I want Hulkenberg to even perform better than Magnussen because Magnussen when he was recommending that Mick should leave, or rather, he was recommending driver yesterday last year for them to replace Mick. Let his recommendation put his job on the line. That's why I want this season from Haas. But yeah, I don't know if anyone wants to chip in on Haas, and then yeah,
Yeah. Can I go?
yeah.
I feel like it's only a matter of time before things start to heat up. When I say heat up, I mean heat up properly between Magnussen and Hulkenberg. We are this close, and I can't wait for it. It's almost like there's been a pattern now. Hulkenberg would out that qualifier, he'll out qualify Magnussen, and Magnussen finds a way during the race to come out. He has come out with at least he has given them 1 point, or he comes out on top. Coming out on top the last time he yielded 1 point. Now he has come 10th, and it's almost like what he's doing. Does it? Maybe the team is not seeing him that at the push this car up because you're not reaping the end result. So very small, very soon the fight will scatter, the gbege will happen. But recently, I heard somebody ask Gunter, between the two of them, who do you love? Did you see it? Because that is your team. And he said he asked the small boy back, ask your mother, between you and your brother, who does she love more? I felt like that was a very good and very managerial and very facilitated answer. I don't know why you're giving Gunter Steiner sticks. I feel like Steiner, that was a good response from him to say, look, my both drivers, I love them equally. But obviously, I don't understand why Nico Hulkenberg will do well on Saturday, on Sunday, he will fall off. It's only 3 years between him and Magnussen. It's not as if he's too old. Because age, when you start getting old, that's my own point why Lance Stroll cannot win. Sorry, I'm veering off. When your age will start telling on you, you cannot do it for that long. It's only 3 years. So why can't he do well during okay, I think last race somebody touched him. But tomorrow, let us see. My own is I feel like it is only a matter of time before the both of them will kick it off like they've done in the past, and I'm here for it, and I can't wait. I feel like Haas and Alpha Tauri are the two last cars. They are struggling now for 9 and 10. And please, I ask a question: when does the wind tunnel? When does it kick in? When does the effect of having more wind tunnel time start having effect so that we will start knowing when we will be going up the grid?
Um, Regis. So sorry, I'm not sure, but I'll get back to you. But I thought some teams they run their wind tunnel every day.
Because I heard that once the wind tunnel kicks in, at least like teams that were like fourth and fifth and all them third will have more time, and it might have an effect on their race performance every weekend. So let's see if somebody can actually give Red Bull a run for their money, because it's not at this point in time, it's not really giving.
I think I read somewhere that the wind tunnel effect kicks in towards the mid-season because Red Bull are already moaning about the impact it would have on them later on. So I think it kicks in then, but to be honest with you, I don't fully understand it. Uh,
Okay, okay, it makes sense now. You see why that admin, do you see our conspiracy theory? See where it's going? Mid-season, they want to wrap up this season before mid-season, so that no, everything will all be here. It's all unfolding. When we say there's a clear path, there's a clear line of action, things are happening. Mid-season. Okay, let's see how things go, Sha.
Yeah.
I beg, Psycho, please go ahead. Psych, sorry.
Yeah. Oh, you can call me Hammer just so you don't get confused. Personally, I agree. I agree with you, admin, about the fact that um what's his name, Gunter can be emotional at times. But I feel like one thing that he brings to us that people don't realize is some kind of leadership. If Ferrari had the kind of leadership without the technical ability that Gunter had instead of Binotto, I feel like with the car and everything, but without Binotto, but someone like Gunter there, where the team knows that hey, this guy is like that's secondary school teacher who, if you don't perform, you're going to be sacked. And at least you know that if you are sacked, you have one shot at redemption because Hulkenberg and Magnussen went and came back. And I know initially I was feeling sad about Schumacher leaving, but I feel like if he goes and he comes to prove to Gunther that he can do a good job and has the equipment, Gunther can take him back, regardless of how annoying or emotional he might seem. So as time goes on, eventually Gunther might leave, but I feel like he's what Haas needs for now. That father figure for the people. That's why nobody has told anybody to suck their balls yet.
Hmm. Well, they are not ready to move up the grid. That's where I see it. But okay. Okay. Does anyone still want to chip in on us? And then we round up with our pin. Okay. Our pin. Hmm. Our pin. I know our pin. They've been. Their goal has been to close up. What do you call it? To close up to now the top four. It's not even top three again. So they've even accepted that it's top four. Because we're not counting as Aston Martin as a top 14. So I think I don't know. The earlier in FP3 they had the pace. What was his name again? Ocon finished, or rather, he ended the session Q3. Um, Ended the session in P3 rather. Just a couple of tenths behind Max. So I don't really know what happened. Then Gas, I believe, was P5 in that session. So I expected to see them in in high up the high up in Q3, but for some reason I don't know what happened to both cars. But yeah, it was interesting.
But
But
Gasly was in Q3, wasn't he? He tried now.
where the guys P9? I said I expected to see him high up.
I
Why is he behind Albon?
don't include Albon in your discussion, please. Allow Albon.
No, no. I expected to see him at least. No, at least you
Nah,
were expect to see the Alpine qualify
ahead of.
ahead of the Williams rather. So um yeah, and then Hulkenberg qualified ahead of Ocon. So it's really, I think it's a spit on the shoe to Alpine. You understand that Haas is qualifying above them, but yeah. Hopefully they're able to secure points, both cars. I don't know if Albon will be able to withstand the pressure, because you have Charles Leclerc beside him, you have Gasly behind, okay, Hulkenberg behind him, and then Gasly around him. So it's going to be. I think the top 10 tomorrow is actually one to watch. Because especially if you go back to the first four again, you have Max, Russell, Hamilton, and Alonso. Um, you want to see who by the end of lap one is in the podium position. So it's going to be interesting. Yeah, okay. Still on Alpine. Does anyone want to chip in on Alpine, and then I will round up.
I want to say I don't understand how somebody can be P3 in FP3 and then cannot get into Q3. But I think from an Alpine perspective, they'll be sitting back and telling themselves, tomorrow we can definitely score points with both cars. I and that's why I'm scared. I don't think Albon will. I don't know, but I just feel like the both of them will finish in points tomorrow somehow. I don't know. I feel like there might still be a DNF tomorrow. We need to put all that into consideration. Maybe one of the Aston Martins because they've lived up to expectations so far. Um, Mercedes, they are not known for reliability issues or whatever. But I don't know. Maybe there might be a DNF in the top six tomorrow because Albon has to be in the points. I feel like Alpine, the both cars will score points tomorrow. And yeah, Sergio Perez is still even going to come into the mix. So yeah, I don't think Otmar will be too unpleased with how his cars performed today. But Ocon, like I said earlier, for me is the biggest. He'll feel like he should have done better considering what he done in FP3. And the cars they are putting those cars in the Alpine right now is if relaxed or chilled out was the person, like that's the team and they're happy with where they are. And I think they're okay with themselves. Fifth on the grid, that should be fine for them.
Interesting. I don't think they want to be fifth on the grid, though. They still say they want to close out to.
Are their mates not McLaren? Are they not is McLaren not their major competitor? Where are their mates today? Let them be happy. They can never come close to Aston Martin. So fifth on the grid. I think they were saying that the space to the sixth is too much and the space to fourth is too much. So they want to close up. Let them relax. Let them chill out. They are personally they've got two good drivers and I feel they are not over punching. They're just all right. So yeah.
Okay. Okay. Still on Alpine. Does anyone want to add anything or anything in general just before we round up?
I just predict a first lap incident tomorrow. First corner incident, basically, between the top four. I'm not going to mention names.
Who is going out? Who is going to go out?
I just said I'm not going to mention names.
Baba, talk if you talk full oh. But I see a DNF tomorrow for one of the top six. I don't know who it is. I just hope it's not our. I don't know. I will not mention names if that's what we are doing here.
See that? You see our
Stop.
problem. You are telling someone talk fool, but your own now you say you are not going to
I
mention.
shocked. Stop
See,
passing the size. If you
that's
want
how we
to
are.
mention Russell, mention
Lead
Russell.
by example. Lead by example. Reggie. Who are you predicting will have the DNF, Regis?
Oh, I don't know. I feel like it's a Mercedes, man. I don't know. I don't want to.
I,
I don't
I,
want
I knew it, Regis. You're just trying to start a debate. I
I
know.
swear.
That's why when you said I wouldn't mention name, I knew exactly where you were going. I
brother.
know.
This thing needs to go round. It's turn by turn. Aston Martin, they've had their
No, no.
Red
I
Bull,
could
they've
not.
had.
I want to nominate somebody as well. I want to nominate the man in pole for to go out.
The man in Paul had his own last week now. So last time out, you can't
Oh,
give him another one so soon.
well, you don't know F1 is unpredictable. It can happen twice. Who knows?
Chai.
In terms of predictions, I feel that Mercedes fans please don't come for me, but I feel like the Aston Martin, there's a possibility that the Aston Martin may jump us tomorrow. At the start because Aston Martin is still strong. Let's not forget. So, but fingers crossed that at least we get a podium. That's Mercedes. At least we get a podium tomorrow. But I fear that the Aston Martin may jump us. Aston Martin being Alonso. But let's see.
Well, Alonso is on the dirty side, isn't it? I think the odd numbers are the clean side, so he
Yeah.
might struggle on the start.
But
So, but
dirty
but
you
you're
clean
right, yeah,
you. That Aston Martin is faster than us, sure.
Instead
yeah.
instead of Fernando to jump Lewis, let the race end tomorrow.
I absolutely agree, totally agree with you.
But then again, I also worry that we may have a couple of red flags, and so that would change like starting grids, you know, over and over again. So I
Yeah,
hope it doesn't happen. But if free practice is anything to go by, I feel like
yeah,
we may have a couple of standing stats,
yeah.
and I
That
worry.
is definitely likely. It's definitely likely. People
Wait,
are
any
likely to
reason
go into
why
the gravel
for the red flags?
because the track is actually quite. It's not very wide, and people it's difficult for people to overtake. And if they make a mistake, they can easily go on the gravel.
Yeah, so the
Or
runoff areas on the
yeah,
gravel.
yeah.
Me, let me just quickly drop my. I've seen vision. It's Carlos Sainz. He's gonna beat his car in turn 11.
Uh-uh.
Yeah,
Smooth
that's
operator.
That seems like a curse. Yeah, that seems like you're placing a curse on Carlos.
no. Is where the first flag is going to come from. That's just it. So we were predicting. If you beat your car in that turn 11, your race is over. So yeah.
And it's true. Science is prone to doing things like that.
He did something similar in Imola, abi.
Yeah.
So yeah, you
in,
can.
in the in the spirit of conspiracy theories, they don't fix Perez's car again. They don't fix Perez's car again, and then he goes into the runoff area, and then there's a red flag.
Hmm. Personally, I don't know how. I think I don't know how Perez is going to do it, sha, but he has a lot of work to do.
A lot.
I think tomorrow we would actually know. We'll have a true picture of how strong that Red Bull is. If
Yeah.
Perez does a Verstappen tomorrow and ends up on the podium, then I think I would actually lobby the FIA to ban that Red Bull for a couple of races.
But we already know how strong the Red Bull is. It's just, I think you meant the driver because look at Verstappen last time. He came all the way from the back to, he almost came first as well. So we already know how strong that Red Bull is. It's just whether Perez is strong enough to do, or the car is in good shape.
Yeah, I agree. It will be a testament to Perez's ability.
Yeah.
So he's going to drink champagne tomorrow.
But I
What
also
Mercedes.
prediction?
Mercedes.
He has to get P1.
Haba now,
Ah,
Imadi.
ah.
Uh-uh.
What is that? Even home advantage won't save him.
Please, we said predictions, so no prophecy.
That's a divine intervention level goal that you're set for PS3.
Can I say, if Lewis finishes ahead of Russell tomorrow, I will not make any force. I won't be bothered if Russell out qualifies him for the rest of the season. I won't even, nothing concern me. If
Yeah.
Russell let him be finishing what first. If Lewis finishes tomorrow ahead of Russell, I accept that Lewis, like I'll now properly accept that Russell is just a Saturday man, like
Yeah.
what people call him. But personally, I believe that he's here to stake a claim, and he's doing it
Yeah.
nicely and very like that guy. Omo, when that championship car comes, don't be let us not be surprised. And let me not talk before people will say this guy they miscap, but it's happening, though.
But you're
But
right.
if
I've
if
seen
if
it.
In terms of what you said about tomorrow, because I think that's why the commentators are not saying anything right now. Even though they praise George, but they didn't overpraise him this time round.
Exactly.
So they're being clever because they don't want to say it too soon and then realize that Hamilton beat him again. So I think they'll wait for a couple of races and then they will start knocking Hamilton if it keeps going on like that.
I think if Lewis Hamilton is not bothered by Russell being ahead of him, who am I, right? I'm not bothered
Exactly.
either. It might as
Yeah.
well. I always just approach it as the fact that Lewis is what 38, right?
Yeah.
So I always approach it as the guy he has done like his best in Formula One, and I feel like he's at that point where there's nothing really left to prove, to be honest. So
But that doesn't mean he doesn't want to beat win again, though.
completely. We all know that Lewis wants the eighth, but I'm just saying
Yeah.
how I whenever I see that, how I approach the situation is that Lewis has done his best and he has not, to me, to me. Lewis has nothing left to prove to me, as a fan of his.
Yeah,
And, as a fan of Mercedes, I also say the same. I think I say almost every time that Russell is not also here to count bridges, right? He's here to win races. And at some
yeah,
point, if Lewis is in quotes mentoring him as he says that he
yeah.
is, right? You're always going to, the plan is for him to, get ahead of him at some point. So whether that's now, whether that's next season, I just, as a Lewis's fan and as a Mercedes fan, I just feel that Lewis has nothing to prove to me anymore, right? It is what it is.
I think right now, I feel like Lewis is not bothered whether Russell beats him in the quali or not. I think Lewis is just waiting for that car, and when that car comes, and if he still doesn't beat Russell, then I think that's when we would say he's in trouble. So I'm not. I agree with you. I think he's proving what he has to prove, but he's still waiting for that car so
I
that he
also think
can.
that
Yeah,
Sorry, I also think that when the car comes, Lewis would outperform him, and that's what I think.
yeah,
I also think that I personally think that it's never a question of who is the better driver,
yeah,
because it is Lewis, right? If you ask
yeah,
me, that does not mean that George is not doing well, but I think that when that car comes,
yeah.
there's no conversation about who is the better driver. It is Lewis. The skills that he has, George. I feel like George doesn't. Is not there yet, but I mean, let's see.
But you have to give it to George though. He's really having a
I
go,
always,
and
I
that is really
always
good.
do. No, I
Yeah,
always do.
And
Every
one
single
part,
race, I do.
you see, in one part of George's heart or whatever, he is believing that the car is here already.
yeah, yeah.
Believe it or not, George turns up every day saying this is the car, and I don't blame him. After driving a Williams for 3 years,
Exactly,
Exactly.
that
He has seen
Mercedes is
exactly.
better
like
cars.
that Mercedes is going to be like his. You move from a Range Rover from a Toyota to a Mercedes, so
Yeah,
To George, he's driving a Red Bull. Actually,
he's
George
driving a
feels
Range
like
Rover car.
yeah,
So in his head, telling himself, "This is
yeah,
car. I have my car already, so I don't," and he's doing what he needs to do. My boy
yeah.
is 25. If he doesn't do it now, when does he want to do it? So
Exactly, exactly. Absolutely.
Okay, sorry, let me just quickly say, read one, because I don't know, we can't get read one up, but read one says, many things tomorrow, Sha. We all know how good the Aston Martin is, even the Mercedes and the Ferrari. So his predictions are Max, Alonso, obviously, you know the position, then Hamilton or Russell for P3. So he obviously doesn't see any of the Ferraris there. Yeah, okay, I was going to add something to what you said about Russell. Oh god, I don't forget. Okay, no. Anyways, if someone wants to say something, if I remember, I'll say
our
it.
predictions while you remember.
Oh yeah, you guys want to share your okay, yeah, okay, yeah, I remember what I wanted to say now. Sorry. Um I said yes, so I know I don't, in as much as I don't like going back to topics here, but in the last 7 minutes we've just I don't want to, let's say, praise George Russell or giving him credit for his work, his mentality, and his belief. You know, even in times of trouble for the team, you understand. And now we spoke about the guy in Alfa Romeo that sells drink. We spoke about him for almost 30 minutes. Now you now ask the question that would he have had this mentality that Russell had to push the team as the team, or if he was still there in that's both as if he was still there in their current state. You understand? Will he have had the team? What impact will he have brought?
You
I
said,
don't know if anyone gets what I'm
yeah,
No,
trying to say.
yeah, yeah. I get what you're
start
saying.
NO capital NO.
Okay.
No, no, I agree. No, I don't think you would have that sort of. Yeah, no.
So,
I think, yeah, yeah. I think Russell, but they're different state of mind. Russell was coming to prove a point. It's, it's been given hope that you're the future of Mercedes. So it's coming to show them that yes, I want to take that title. So they've given it depends on how you encourage people to do stuff. He's been having this chat with Toto even before he came when he was in Williams, and he keeps saying reminding Toto that you promised me. So he's got inspiration already. He knows what he's coming for. So it's very clear to him. I think when Bottas was in a situation where he's in a sense, you could argue that he's number two, and he's outgoing. I just don't see whether that the mindset are the same. I don't think you can compare them.
You see now, look, when you said something mindset. Mindset is all
No,
about.
no, no. But it's the
Wait,
environment you're in.
look, hold
Your
on.
mindset is
Mindset.
determined by the environment you're in.
Wait now, look, man.
Okay, okay.
Mindset is all about your thinking, all about what you want to achieve. You understand? And George Russell, deep down somewhere inside his mind, he knows he's a number two. You understand? Now, if you ask who is the number two driver in Mercedes, like as at maybe when at the beginning of last season, everyone would say George Russell. Deep down inside, he knew he was the number two. You understand? But he did not accept the fact. And that is the mindset that George Russell
No,
has.
but can I say to you that when he was coming, they told him you
They,
are going to be the future of Mercedes.
we,
Yeah.
oh,
Even if you
no,
say you're number two, you still have to prove it. If you don't prove it, that doesn't mean that is a done deal.
no, okay, you still have to prove it. You are going to be the future message. Yeah, at the end of the day, all this is contract. I mean, for me, it's personal, it's contractual talk because it's more motivational talk. You are going to be the future message. Is that not what they've been telling Charles Leclerc for the past how many
Do you
years?
know? Do you
Is
know
that
who
not?
manages Russell? Do you know who manages Russell?
Is it not? Is it not? Is it not
Exactly.
Tokyo?
Exactly. So it's not
So
just about contractual talk. It's also inspirational talk. It's also
yeah, it's all about
inspiration.
motivation. It's all
No,
about
but
motivation. Look, even who is Toto's manager? Is it not still Abi Voucher's manager? Is it not still Toto? So at the end of the day, it's all about mindsets. At
I
the
just feel they are in different part of
Valtteri
their career.
accepted. Yeah, George did not accept. You understand? This is what you call. Let me tell you something. This is what you call mental slavery. You understand? One said, I'm gonna break out from my captor." Well, I'm not saying everybody's held in chains. Oh. I'm just giving an analogy. While the other one said, "I'm just gonna be here." It's just like you understand. It's just
No,
like
sorry. Who is this in comparison with? Is this in comparison
George
with
and
Perez?
Butas.
Yeah, but we're
Oh,
Sorry,
not
Bottas.
comparing
Oh,
them.
yeah.
You can't compare them. We're not. That's my point. You can't compare them because George is in the mindset of a rookie. I want to achieve this. All the you
George is
wait
not a rookie.
when George is there for about 7 years, 8 years, you see a change in him as well. It
No,
happens to
now
all
look
of them.
on. No, now look on.
Okay, okay, okay,
Come on.
okay. We'll see.
Okay, no problem.
I just
Please,
don't think
please
that
go
you can
ahead.
compare them. That's just my own. That's all.
I actually think that you can. I think you can. I think that when Bottas joined the team and when George joined the team, they were pretty much in the same in the same place,
Wait,
right?
sorry, no, but I'm sorry to cut you short. I said, let's not forget that my original question was, would Bottas have the mindset, or will he be able to push the team the way George is pushing the
No,
team
but I
in
agreed with
their
you. I
current
said
situation?
no. I
No,
said
but no,
no.
but
But
what,
No,
but,
is
but
that
what do you
what I
mean?
said?
What do
It's
you
all
mean by
about
push the team? What do you mean by push the team, though? I'm just
like
curious.
when I mean push the team in terms of
at
uh
results.
Like
motivate
buying
them and then try and see where they can help and go do better and all of that.
Are you talking about? Are you not see Bottas? Is it not Toto that is to motivate him? Toto will come on the radio and tell him, "Guy, move this car." Like, Bottas was not the motivator; he was the motivatee. So I don't even think that that's a comparison that you can make. And the clear answer is no. He wouldn't have been able to. I mean, Toto had to come on, Bottas radios a couple of times, during the races to tell him, "Listen, move the car. There's no reason why you are where you are right now." I don't think that there's even a comparison that you can make. I mean, if this is not like a skills issue, or I mean, there's so many ways we can talk about how Bottas compares to Russell, or how Russell, is ahead of Bottas. There's so many things, dimensions that you can discuss. But if that is your basis, I think the answer is no. Bottas will not have been able to.
Mm.
Thank you, Enabong. Okay, let's have Clinton, please.
Thank you for having me in this space. Yeah, I think the comparison between George Russell and Bottas, I actually think it's a waste of a discussion. And the reason for that is because George Russell is a superior driver and superior skills in every aspect, whether it's in qualifying, whether it's in race pace. And George has that special thing where we saw multiple times last season, and we saw it in the first two races of this season as well, where George would say things like, I'm coming in to change tires against team wishes. And that shows that George is a much more independent thinker. And if we look at his race career as a junior racer compared to Bottas, George is a much superior racer. And the reality is I am a Lewis Hamilton fan, and but the reality is that George is just as good as Lewis is, and we have seen that on a regular basis, where George is able to out qualify when it comes to a hottest lap. Now, the advantage that Lewis has over George is that over the course of a race, um, Lewis is able to keep up the pace and is therefore able to position himself to kind of finish stronger. So last season, once they had the W13 dialed in, and Lewis was happy with the overall feel of the W13, Lewis was able to outperform George over the course of the season, like over that second half of the season. Um, the difference is, and we see this again, is that even when the car is shaky, even when it's not dialed in right, George is able to outperform Lewis. And Lewis performs great when he feels great and when the car is dialed in. But if it's not dialed in the way that he likes, then it's harder for Lewis to get into it, the mind game. And I don't think that's a bad thing either. I think the reality is that George is going to take every race to Lewis and vice versa for the remainder of the season, both in qualifying and in race pace. And that's because that's to be a great Formula One driver, you have to be selfish. And when Lewis Hamilton came to Formula One and he had Alonso as a teammate, Lewis was the second. And right from day one, Lewis was like, no, I'm taking the race to Alonso. And Alonso has admit that. He has said, look, when we were teammates, technically I was the number one, in this case, Alonso. But in reality, we were going car to car, head to head, race in and race out, because he knew that Lewis wanted to prove himself. And we saw the same thing with, obviously, with uh, Lewis and Nico. And, we've seen that in other times in Formula One with other drivers. I remember when Jacques Villeneuve came to Williams. And back then, for those of you that are new to Formula One racing, Australia used to be the first race of every season before F1 decided to screw everything up. And in Jacques Villeneuve's very first race in Formula One, um, he clubbed Damon Hill. And the only reason Villeneuve finished second was because he had a blown transmission. So he had to slow down and let Damon Hill pass. And obviously, we've seen that in other times as well. When Ayrton Senna came into Formula One, there was a lot of pressure and rivalry between him and Alain Prost, and they both viewed themselves as number one, and that made Formula One racing better. So I think having George in Formula One is a good thing because it keeps Lewis on his toes, and it adds for a more overall exciting race and exciting qualifying. And I don't believe that Lewis is going anywhere anytime soon. All of this bullshit talk about retirement is nonsense. Alonso was a number of years older than Lewis, and Alonso is still dominant and is still one of the goats. And there's no reason why Lewis could not be racing in 3 or 4 seasons from now and being just as dominant. Because I would argue that Lewis has not, his abilities have not fallen or slipped. He's just in a car that's not capable of winning. And lastly, I would also say that the thing to remember, and I'm sure we all know this as Formula One fans, is everyone has their favorite drivers, but you could be Ayrton Senna, and if you are in the slowest car in the field, you are never going to win. So at the end of the day, um, you know, it requires not just a great driver, but a great car, and vice versa. And so I think it's great news. And I have to say, I am actually shocked and surprised at how well Mercedes qualified this weekend. I mean, a couple of days ago, I was in a space with some of the people that are here today, and I had basically written Mercedes off in the Australian Grand Prix, and I'm really shocked with some of the updates that they brought and some of the performance. Um, and we'll see whether that is purely a single lap or whether the car has the ability to do this over the course of a race. Because my biggest fear is that did Mercedes do everything they could purely to qualify, which is important, but are they going to run into problems in the race? In other words, will Aston Martin be faster over the course of a race? Will Perez slice through the field? Um, will Ferrari be quicker over the course of a race? Because it's one thing to have soft tires and to run a hot lap and to run everything perfect for, a single, minute or, minute and 20 or, whatever the times are. But it's quite a different thing to do that over the course of multiple laps. Anyways, I'll place myself on mute. I'm looking forward to hearing everybody else.
Okay, can we quickly have Lukman?
Yeah, thank you, admin. Clinton, I agree with everything. Your analysis is actually quite spot on. I only have a different view on one point, which is around the quali performance. I'm not quite sure we can conclude at this stage because they don't have the car that Russell outperforms Hamilton. Right now, I think what Hamilton is doing is not prioritizing the. So even if he doesn't, even if he doesn't qualify before Russell, I don't think he's too bothered about that. So I'm not quite sure we can conclude right now that that's the case. But I agree there is potential for Russell to outqualify Russell. Uh, for Russell to outqualify Hamilton. However, I think I would reserve that judgment until I feel that they've got the car, and then we'll see whether Hamilton will go back to prioritizing both. And I think your point around race stream, I think you're right about Aston Martin because I think I was hearing something that they don't have as much downforce on the Mercedes car. I'm not quite sure whether that will be to their advantage during the race stream. So, but yeah, that's all. I just wanted to add that.
Thank you very much. Okay. So guys, I think we've come to the end of the space. Oh yeah, just quickly, does anyone want to add anything just before we round up?
Well, I just jump in right quick. So I think my final thoughts, and again, I take no joy in saying this, and I hope to be proven wrong. I really hope I'm wrong. But I do think that over the course of this race, that it looks to me like unless there's a some sort of a technical problem with the Red Bull, I do think the Red Bull is going to win Verstappen, and I do think based off of the performance of the Red Bull, and we're not talking about a cluttered track for a qualifying lap. But I do think that over the course of the race that we're going to see Perez slice his way through the field as well. And I think it's going to happen pretty quickly. And and that's going to be a problem because if that does happen, that means the rest of the field has a lot of work to do to catch up to Red Bull.
Thank you very much, Clinton. Okay, guys. Thank you very much to everyone that's been here. I know we've been here since 8 or so, and then we came back. But yeah, we'll be back again. I don't know, guys. Do you guys prefer this Australian Grand Prix? I know we'll have this again for Japan. Do you guys prefer it in the morning or in the evenings? Because I know there's always
I'm I'm still sleeping in the morning, oh, after the Grand Prix. I was awake all morning. That's why I joined you guys late. So
but yeah, I think
I like that it's not every day. At least once a while, like Suzuka, Australia.
yeah. Anyways, okay, no problem. I guess we'll be back again tomorrow morning, probably the same time. Okay, when does race start? Race. Okay, no, sorry, probably a bit later. Because race is longer than quali. But yeah, thank you guys once again. Wishing everyone a great weekend and see you all tomorrow morning. Bye. Thank you.